Okay, we're live. Okay, I've had this for a while. I've done a couple of streams on it. But that was a while ago. I gotta do another one. This is crazy. Flat Earth is a rabbit hole that is never ending. This is from Kyle Adams, I think his name is. Flat Earth University. And I can do this because it's fair use. He cannot strike this. It's transformative also because I am adding myself to it, making it my own artwork, I guess. Making it my creation. I'm using his creation for my creation, but it still counts. Okay, let's test it. This is a section, and it's called physics. So it's teaching you what physics is, apparently, but not really, as you will see.
Alright, let's talk about gravitational force. Not too long ago, I had a conversation with an anti-flat earther by the name of MC Toon. He told me that if the Earth was flat, gravity must not exist. So I asked him, what makes you think that? He said it had to do with something called the potato radius, and he provided a link that explained it in further detail. He said anything over a certain mass or size has enough mass to collapse into a spherical shape. Larger masses are more spherical. The critical size is between 200 and 300 kilometers, depending on the composition. That made me think of the Rocky Mountains, which are 4,800 kilometers long. And so I asked, so you claim mountains should collapse into a spherical shape instead of a flat one?
No, that's... What's the example? Things in space? Hold on. Let's listen to this again.
Explained it in further detail. He said anything over a certain mass or size has enough mass to collapse into a spherical shape. Larger masses are more spherical.
That's in space. That is specifically a rule in space, if I'm not mistaken. But let's see what else he has to say.
The critical size is between 200 and 300 kilometers, depending on the composition. That made me think of the Rocky Mountains, which are 4,800 kilometers long. And so I asked, so you claim mountains should collapse into a spherical shape instead of a flat one? Generally, from what I've seen, erosion causes mountains to level out, not turn into giant potatoes. His response was, not mountains, the entire Earth. Well, so much for his 200 and 300 kilometer thing.
One thing most globalists don't pick up on.
And Yes, long enough mountain ranges, I'm sure. If you measure, I'm sure they have to measure it. I'm sure they're flat. The lines, maybe. No, mountains aren't necessarily connected like that, don't worry. Sportran Sanchez. Let's see what he has to say.
On is this. If you live on a spherical earth, why do that spherical earth exist within a flat galaxy? Oh, you didn't think about that, huh?
Gravity? I'm thinking. Gravity? Is it possible that it's gravity? I think it's gravity.
Like I said, it's for the newbies out there who say, how can the earth be flat? The same way the Milky Way can be flat. In fact, when we look at the Milky Way, we can see the plagiarization of flat earth. See, when you deal with flat earth, brothers and sisters, you're dealing with the macrocosm of our universe.
Okay. The universe being flat. Yes. If you map out everything, all the spheres in our universe. Yes. From top down. Yeah, you can. I don't know how to explain it. It is flat, but not in that. It's weird how he's saying. It's flat. It's weird. I'm not sure exactly what he means by that. The galaxy itself is flat. I mean, I guess. You could put pool balls in the shape of a square, and that square would technically be flat. That's what I mean. That's kind of how the universe is set up. It's in a certain configuration, so yeah, you can call it flat, but the things inside of it are not flat. I think I explained that okay. What do you think?
Okay.
If it all collapses, what is the determining factor that determines the central collapse point, and what makes you think that factor exists on the flat Earth model? To that, he did not have an answer for me, and that is where his straw man argument was exposed. He was inventing his own model and saying, see, it doesn't work. Not too long after that,
What? Oh man, crap. Let's see. There we go.
of Mr. Sensible, and the man argument was exposed. He was inventing his own model and saying, see, it doesn't work. Not too long after that, I went and took the same questions to another anti-flat earther that I know, by the name of Mr. Sensible, and thankfully, he was quite a bit more sensible with me. When I asked him, where is the middle center of gravity on the flat earth? He said, well, depends on the model, I guess. Say a disk with an ice wall, then the center would be the North Pole, then halfway through the thickness. That left me to ask, that depends on whether or not the Earth stops at the ice wall, doesn't it? Also, isn't density a factor on where the center of gravity is? If I had a weight attached to one end of a ruler, I couldn't say that the center of gravity on that ruler is still in the center of that ruler. And that is where he refocused things and said, the point is, wherever the center is, gravity would be pulling things toward it, and everything would collapse into a sphere. And that is where his straw man came out. According to his model, there was no way his flat Earth could have a balanced center of gravity. Now, something that really stood out to me about both of their descriptions of gravity
if the Earth was flat, okay, I have a thought here. If the Earth was flat and in space, anything that would hit it could possibly knock it off balance. I'm thinking, because how wouldn't it knock it off balance? It would put one pressure. It would put a certain amount of pressure on one side of the planet, probably, unless something hit it directly in the middle. But then the Earth would move itself. I mean, I wonder if the Earth has moved during any other asteroid impacts. That would be interesting to actually find out. Here, I'm gonna do some live research. Does the Earth move after asteroid impacts? Let's see. Does the Earth move after asteroid impacts? Let's see. Yes, the Earth does move, but the effect of its overall orbit is typically negligible. Okay, so yes, the Earth would probably slightly, negligibly, actually, move, but yeah. But the Earth has been hit several times. So wouldn't that movement add up? I mean, I think so. Let's continue.
gravity was how they both described it as a force that pulls on things. This directly disagrees with what Einstein taught us about gravity. According to Einstein, one of the happiest moments in his life was when he realized gravity and acceleration are the same thing.
Well, I guess, in a way.
As physics of the universe paraphrases, gravity is in reality not a force at all, but is indistinguishable from, and in fact, the same thing as acceleration. Here's a little clip from Nova that talks about that.
He imagines a man in a box, floating weightlessly in a distant region of space, in zero gravity. Suddenly, the man stops floating and accelerates downward until he's standing in the box. What has happened? Either the box is now close to a planet, and the force of gravity has pulled the man to the floor, or someone has attached a rope, and the box is now being pulled continuously and accelerated upwards.
Well, in my opinion, Gravity is it's an attractive force. That's what it is. Not a pulling or pushing. Are magnets pulling each other? Are these magnets pulling each other right now? Or what? Is it just attracting? It's a pull, an attraction? Or is this a language thing? Or something else? I don't know. Okay, cool. Alright, let's continue.
So which is it? Gravity or acceleration? Without being able to see outside, the man can't tell what's causing his fall to the floor.
Einstein realized that there is no way to tell the difference between sitting in a gravitational field and being accelerated, that these are equivalent situations.
The fact that these two effects
But you can change how fast you accelerate simply by changing the size of what you are falling towards. You can fall faster or you can fall slower based on the size of what you're falling towards. Unless I'm mistaken, there are plenty of people that can correct me on this. But I think I'm right about that.
are the same, give the same result, means that gravity is acceleration. It's not just like acceleration, it's the same thing.
It's a big breakthrough.
This is why we refer to the acceleration we feel in a car as g-force. And I see no reason why acceleration would not be able to exist on the flat Earth. The last time I checked, g-force doesn't care what shape the Earth is. Although, if Einstein is right, and the Earth's gravity effect is being caused by the Earth's acceleration, that could create some problems for the globe Earth model. This is an instance where gravity, which is acceleration, would not cause water to stick to a ball. Unless, of course, the
I hate it when flat earthers use this argument because you are already in a gravitational field when you are trying that. If you are in space and you have water in space without a cup, without any forces acting on it, it will form into a ball. Let's see if I can get that video. I don't have it with me, but I do have it, so let me see if I can do some live. I need to get a video that I have. It's like way at the bottom, dude. It's like way down here, dude. thing to load though. I have so much, and I'm going from the bottom up. Oh no, I have it. Stuff. Stuff in you. Noise. What? Oh. How could... Okay, check this out. Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot. Whatever. I'm stupid. Like, how do I not have... I've picked it many, many times. Okay. Listen to that. Hold on. Oh, okay, sidetracked. Got very sidetracked. Okay, this video's almost over. More than halfway over. Cool. Okay, let's continue.
Earth is accelerating outward in all directions, in which case the Earth would have to be perpetually exploding. At this point, I often get people who shallowly say, "Yeah, well, you just don't understand." So let's hear PBS describe this Einstein principle in their space-time show to verify my understanding.
Isaac Newton said that an apple falls because a gravitational force accelerates it toward the ground. But what if it's really the ground accelerating up to meet the apple? Suppose I drop an apple. According to Isaac Newton, the ground can be considered at rest, Earth applies a gravitational force to the apple, and that force causes the apple to accelerate downward. But according to Einstein, there's no such thing as a gravitational force. Instead, it's more appropriate to think of the apple as stationary, and the ground, along with everything on the ground, as accelerating upward into the apple. Now, what I just said sounds preposterous and maybe even moronic, but it's not sophistry. There's something substantive here.
No one can accuse me of creating a straw man argument here, or misrepresenting anyone, when they are the ones directly making the claim.
But according to Einstein, there's no such thing as a gravitational force.
This is where gravity is described as a fictitious force. And yes, fictitious here directly means non-existent, pretend, or imaginary.
I don't think so. I I wish I was knowledgeable enough to fucking counter this, but I'm not. If any Flat Earth debunkers are following me and see this, make sure to leave debunks like everywhere, dude. If you haven't already. I have a couple Flat Earth debunkers that follow me, but I don't know if they watch my videos or not. Because not all my videos are about Flat Earth debunking, so they don't know to expect it. I think this is enough for this video, but I will keep this on a tab. I will keep this open actually, so I can continue watching videos. See, I can always play it again.
It is just like Coriolis force and centrifugal force. We can describe them, we can say what they do to other things, we can measure them, predict things with them, but these forces themselves do not exist. They are caused by something else.
All right. So it turns out there's no such thing as centrifugal force. It's the word we give to this thing that feels like a force operating on you if you are the water in that bucket, or if you're in that amusement park where I think they call it the cyclone, where you're sort of pinned against the wall of it and it
means it's happening, though. It doesn't mean it's not happening.
rotates, and you feel this pressure increase on you. So anyhow, so this centrifugal force, you will feel it as though it's a real force, and so that's why we gave it a name, all right? And by the way, Coriolis force is another fictitious force. It feels like it's a real force operating, but it's the product of other things going on. The Coriolis force turns storms into
in a clockwise
in a
counterclockwise direction
in the north and clockwise in the south.
Which is what we talked about last time. And here is one more clip for you.
What is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know.
With that, while it may surprise you, I actually agree with him. Was Newton right? Or was Einstein right? Were they both wrong? Or were they both...
Do we actually need to know what gravity is to know what it does? I mean, that might sound stupid, but I'm curious. I'm actually gonna keep this going. Keep these streams going. Flat Earth knowledge. Yeah. My next streamer is gonna be another Flat Earth knowledge that has this video, and then the next one with this video, and so on and so on. So on and so forth. So, this video is next. Be sure to tune in because I'm starting a new series for Flat Earth Knowledge. This is gonna be awesome.